All right. Cheers. Mine's hot.
Mine is, well, probably cold.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about overcoming fear, and I have my son Philip with me today. So he's very excited, aren't you? Are you going to talk? Can I ask you some questions? If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did so. Like this video and turn on your notifications. I try to post at least once a week, and I do a little bit of a lot. So I try to do beauty, I try to do mommy stuff, I try to do some vlogs and some recipes. So check me out and hopefully stick around.
Hello, friends. Come on in.
Hello, Philip. How old are you, bud? Philip is 3.
I'm 5 and
You are not 5.
I'm 4 and
You're not 4.
I'm turning into 4.
He is turning 4 in December. He was really upset that he wasn't going to be turning 5 because he says 5 is when he's an adult. So we're on the topic of fear, and I just wanted to share some of the scary situations that I've been in the past. And so one story that comes to mind is my very first apartment. I had no idea that my landlord was a
Yep.
drug
That's
dealer.
what she said.
Drug dealer. Anyway,
Drug dealer.
so anyway, I had no idea, and I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I moved out when I was 22 out of my parents' home, so I got an apartment in town, and it was affordable, and it took my dog at the time. It was one of the few apartments that allowed pets, and this pet wasn't just any pet. This was my longtime boyfriend, now my husband's dog, Ava, and he was in Afghanistan, and it was my job to take care of her while he was gone. And so it was very important. It was a deal breaker. Like if she couldn't come, I was all set. So I got the apartment, and there were some red flags, you know, but I didn't. I was just very eager. It was a kind of cute apartment. There were 4 units in the apartment complex, 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs. I was upstairs, and I said to my then boyfriend, it's the strangest thing because he has so many visitors. And
Hey, guys.
And so my boyfriend says, well, now my husband, he says, like, what do you mean? And I said, well, like, cars show up, like, at any hour of the day or night, and they're there for, like, I don't know, like, 20 minutes, and then they're gone. And he's like, Megan, come on. So I figured it out. Probably not as quickly as I should have, but anyway, I figured it out. So it was actually a really like sketchy area. It started to get even more sketchy the longer that I was there. The neighborhood was really bad. There were people that would like pass out in the streets. There were cop cars always around, sirens, you know, you name it. It was just a really scary situation. And I remember specifically one evening I was walking Ava, our dog, and I saw this man, and he was kind of just hanging out on the sidewalk, and I was like, okay, just keep eye on the prize. I'm almost home. I'm going to keep going. And then I noticed he was kind of like stumbling and slurring, and I'm like, okay, you know, he can do him and I'm going to do me. And so I kept walking, and then he started charging at me. I mean, like, you know, coming at me, and I see him kind of trying to grab my arm, and I was like trying to get away from him, and I screamed. I was just like, Ava, go, run. And so we just sprinted full speed ahead. I get into my apartment, I slam the door, I lock the door, I get her leash off, and I literally am like, what just happened? Breathing heavy. And again, I was naive, I wasn't the brightest. I should have called the cops, I should have done something. Like, this guy clearly tried to grab me to do Lord knows what. I should have done something about it, but I didn't know what to do. I was just like hyperventilating, trying to calm myself down so I could sleep. You know, I was just like just hanging on to my dog. And so that was the type of situation that I was dealing with more frequent than I should have. You know, just, I remember the landlord would have, no ball right now. I remember the landlord would have visitors, and they would be stumbling around on the wraparound porch, and I'd hear yelling and banging, and I couldn't ever tell if there was like an actual fight going on or if that was just them being loud and whatever. I couldn't tell if they were fighting or if that was just them being loud, socializing, but there were plenty of times that things just didn't seem right, and I was scared. And I remember one time specifically, I was sitting on my living room floor. I was pretty lonely. My boyfriend was in Afghanistan. My parents were obviously back home. My sisters were all doing their own thing, but like, I was 22 years old living alone in a drug dealer's house. I remember just sitting there, and I was reading the Bible, and I was just like crying, and I had my dog with me, and then I hear doom, 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 footsteps. I was like, oh my gosh. And then, like, out of a horror movie, the doorknob to my apartment was doom, 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 and I, like, they're pulling, they're yanking, and I just sat there. Obviously my crying stopped, and I just sat there and I froze, and I'm watching the doorknob go back and forth, and I'm like, dear God, don't let them get in, because you don't know what they're going to do when they get in. They could realize, oh, hey, I'm in the wrong apartment, or they were trying to break in for a reason. And my dog was so good. She just like sat right in front of me, and every time I was trying to watch that doorknob, she would lean where I leaned, and she was such a protector. She still is. She's so old, but I mean, that girl, we've been through so much together. So on the topic of fear, there's so many types of fear. Like, there's that like gut-wrenching, like, oh, what am I gonna do about my job? I might get laid off or whatever. And then there's that other fear where it's like abrupt and sudden, like, is someone gonna break into my house? There's so many types of fear, and I think it's just important to keep perspective. I mean, obviously don't put yourself in a situation like I did. I should have left that apartment. I should have waited to get an apartment, but I know there's a reason for everything. So there's a reason why I was there. And yeah, I just think it's very important to know that God gives us wisdom to not get into those situations. And if we do get into those situations, He's going to help us out. He helped me out. I have a house now with my husband, and I never thought I could have, you know, a yard. Even the apartments were one on top of another. I had no yard, and now it's like, I'm so blessed that I was able to get a house with my husband at the age of 26. I think I was 26. Yeah, he's back. At the age of 26. Things like that can happen, but I give all the glory to God, because I know my prayers were heard, and I could feel at times when I was so upset, crying, feeling lonely, feeling stuck, that I got a peace. Like, after you get it all out, I felt like, okay, everything is going to be okay. And so I want to give that credit to God. Yeah! What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of monsters.
He's afraid of monsters. And I have to tell you, he had the worst nightmare maybe a week ago. It was so sad to see him freak out like he did. So we all went to bed, and I just heard this like shrieking, and it was like, Mommy, Mommy! And I was like, you know, when you're asleep, that's like startling. You know, when you hear a big noise when you're asleep, you're kind of like, right? So I fly up the stairs. The kids' bedrooms are upstairs and we're downstairs. So I fly up the stairs and he's standing and he's literally shaking and he couldn't form sentences. And we sat him down at the kitchen table. My husband, he sleeps through like anything, and it woke him up. And so we both just like didn't even like communicate. We just flew up the stairs. And so we sit him at the kitchen table. We got him something to drink. We're trying to talk to him, figure out what exactly was scary. And it was a night terror ultimately, but he was then terrified to go to sleep. He was afraid of the dark. He was afraid of shutting the door. So we put him down, and about an hour later he woke up again, and it was a little bit more of a rough night than, I mean, he's been sleeping through the night for forever now. Like, fortunately, all of our kids are really good sleepers. But that was a rough night. So, it kind of just, I just wanted to bring a child's perspective of fear into things, because adults will try to say like, oh, I'm not afraid, or they stuff it down. Sometimes if we just allowed ourselves to be afraid, we would have that like raw, like childlike fear, and just kind of be able to deal with it maybe a little bit better, because you would address it. Like, we stuff it down so much sometimes that we don't even know what we're afraid of. There have been times I wake up in the morning and my anxiety is so bad and I'm like, what on earth am I even anxious for? Like, today's gonna be fine.
Hey guys, I had a dream about black widow spiders.
Tell us about it.
I was sleeping and then I thought spiders were on me, but then I was alright, but I was shivering because I had two bad dreams. It was a spider, a monster, and black widow spiders.
Black widow spiders and a monster. And you said your dream was that the spiders were on you?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. How are you brave?
When it's not dark, I'm not scared. When it is dark, I am scared.
What can you tell someone, if there's someone watching that's afraid and you want to make them feel better, what would you say?
I love dogs.
I love dogs. That's good advice, buddy. Think of the pups. Think of the puppies. That'll make you feel better. So, I don't know how familiar you guys are with a lot of my videos, but what I try to do with these sit-down talks is kind of like, it's for me too. I'll address a concern or a thought that I've had or whatever, and I'll try to relate it back to my faith, knowing that we're so small in the grand scheme of things, so it can seem a little scary, like so much is out of our control, and it is. And the sooner we admit that and admit that God has everything under control, then I think the better off we are. So if we just take comfort in knowing that He's never going to leave us. I keep an open mind. We got to stay positive. We got to know that everything's gonna be okay. There's nothing that is going to be out of His control, and God will take care of His own and pick up pieces. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too preachy, I guess. I want very much to have a friendship with you guys. I don't want to be talking at you, so I just I want to be careful of that. Even though I love to share my beliefs and my morals, I just want to make sure that I'm not forcing it on anybody. I'm just saying what's helped me, and what is helping me. And I say take it or leave it, and I'll respect that. Right, bud?
Now you turn on your phones if you want to call, and you don't want to call, don't turn on your phone.
I've been running nonstop, and I'm very hopeful that I can watch a good Cold Case Files. I watched the new Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
Hey,
There's
guys.
only hold on, let me talk. There's only one season, and I blew through it. So anyway, I'm hoping that this guy will lay down and be quiet with his brother. Then I can just watch a show before I have to go to work tonight. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your day. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next week.